Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Dzkan Toys. Hope all of you guys are doing well. Here on my channel, I do reviews of some of my favorite toy releases. Today we have a unique release to look at. It's actually the brand Pocket World, and it is a 1/12 scale version of Leon Kennedy from the Resident Evil or Biohazard series. So let's take a quick look at the box and get the unboxing started. Alright, here we have our 1/12 scale Leon unbox from the toy company known as Pocket World or PW World. It seems like they have a lot of products recently, but after researching them online, I can't find too many information about them. They do a lot of 1/12 scale figures, and recently they did a lot of horror themed ones such as Resident Evil or zombie related figures. They also make a lot of 1/12 scale dioramas that we can use for figure photography. As for our character today, I'm sure many fans of Resident Evil are familiar with Leon, but for those of you who do not know who he is, his full name is known as Leon Scott Kennedy. He's a fictional character in the Resident Evil horror media franchise by Capcom. He debuted as one of the two playable characters on the 1998 video game Resident Evil 2. Leon also later returned to be the lead protagonist in Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 6 as one of the playable characters. Now let's go over the aesthetics and paint job of the figure. In terms of the design, this version of Leon, from what I can tell, is based on his design in Resident Evil 6. Although it is similar to his style in Resident Evil 4, where he is wearing some sort of leather jacket, it does have a design difference compared to the Resident Evil 4 version of Leon. In terms of the facial design and the sculpt work, I can tell that it has a resemblance to Leon. I would rate it around a 90 to 95% similarity to his in-game counterpart. Obviously, due to the 1/12 scale, it's harder for manufacturers to create a perfect version or sculpt version of Leon's face, but I think Pocket World did quite a nice job over here. I don't have too many complaints. Maybe if I did, it would be the hair sculpt. Although the hair is signature Leon styled hair, it does look a bit fake in my opinion from certain angles when it's molded in two pieces of plastic. But then again, this is just a figure in a 1/12 scale, and often 1/12 scale will always lack details compared to a 1/6 scale figure. Although the hair sculpt could use some improvement, it is still decent. For the other parts of the face design and the face paintwork, I have to give them props. Especially the eyes, the paintwork that they use for the pupils reflects lights very well. I'm not sure how well it shows on camera, but it definitely gives the figure some sort of liveliness to it. Other than that, I can notice other shading details around the mouth area that sort of resembles Leon's scrunched up mustache look that he has. Another interesting detail that they used on the head is on the left side of his ear. He does have this light equipment that's attached to his ear. It's some sort of tactical equipment, so that is nicely done there. In terms of the upper body design, or rather the overall body design, the nice thing about this Leon figure is actually he is wearing soft goods. So I would describe this figure similar to a Mezco figure where they use soft goods for the overall clothing of the figure. And actually Leon, for the upper body, there's a lot of soft goods. First thing that we see is the outside exterior leather jacket. Over here is done in some sort of a pleather. The material is also divided into two colors, with the color being mainly sort of a dark brown or black for the jacket primary color, and also we have these white stripes as decoration on the arm sleeves. Further interesting details on the jacket that I want to show to you guys are the pockets. We have these pockets over the jacket, and also on the shoulder pads we have these small round dots that resemble some sort of button on the jacket. So all of those are nicely done. Looking toward the sides, we do have a nice zipper detail on the bottom of the jacket. but the zipper is actually not movable after trying it out, so it's more just a decoration. More jacket details are reviewed once we look at the back of the figure. So we have these nice zipper details on the arms along with the button details that's done in this aluminum color. Similarly, at the bottom of the jacket, we also have these metal studs that definitely add more detail to the overall aesthetics of the pleather jacket. Next up, in terms of the aesthetics, I also want to show you guys that Leon over here is actually wearing another blue dress shirt inside. So that's nicely done. It's actually another layer, and it is also made out of cloth goods. Over here for the blue dress shirt, we do have a nice collar and more aluminum color detailing to represent the shirt buttons. So it is possible to take the pleather jacket off, and this way we can look at Leon with the blue dress shirt. Furthermore, what's really interesting is we have another layer inside the blue dress shirt as well. It's actually a red colored beater. So technically we can also take off the blue dress shirt as well, having Leon just wearing the red beater if you want to. As you guys see here in this shot, the blue dress shirt actually closes with this Velcro piece that we can easily stick on. Now that I returned Leon to his original position for his upper body clothing, we can tell that Leon actually looks quite good over here. There's a layering effect as there's 3 layers of clothing for Leon's upper body. Again, the pleather jacket, the blue dress shirt, and finally the red beater inside. All of these are soft cloth goods, and I really like the effect, especially if you look from a upper angle at the figure. You can see the red coming through the blue dress shirt, which does add extra detail to the overall figure. Moving on to the pants. These are fairly simple. There's not much to say about them, but they're in this sort of lightish brown color, closer to a sand color. Here's a back shot of the pants. Side view, we can see the seam lines of the pants. Just like the upper body soft goods, the pants is made out of soft goods as well. Finally, in terms of the shoes, Leon have his boots molded over here in this dark brown color. Now let's move on to the accessories. So we do have some nice accessories with this figure, although I do wish we could have had some more of it. But anyways, first let's check out the hand accessories. These are the extra hands. We have the ones that is attached to the figure straight out of the box, which is 2 open palms that are in the relaxed position. Next up, we have a set of holding hands. So these we can use to hold some kind of weapons or other accessories that's in the 1/12 scale that you may have in your collection. Next, we have a single right-sided trigger finger hand. Lastly, we have a single right-sided, again, open style palms that is slightly different from the first set. And that's about it for all the extra hands. I do wish we could have had some more extra hand accessories, but I guess it's good enough for the figure. Another, I guess, gripe that I have about the hand is from the pegs. Just to show you guys, they remove quite easily. All you do is pull them out like a normal peg, but the connection point between the hand and the wrist peg itself is actually quite tight. You really have to get your hand or maybe nail inside there to separate the hand from the peg. So it's kind of a pain to switch hands. It's easy once you have this part done and plug it into the wrist, but the hand itself and the peg of the wrist is actually quite tight. Moving on to the weapon accessories, we actually have 3 choices. The first one we have over here is a signature handgun of Leon's. It's quite nicely detailed. We have silver paint, brown for the stock, also black for a scope, and Leon can hold it in his trigger hand quite easily, like that. Here's a closer look at the handgun. Again, there's not much to say here. It does look quite detailed for a 1/12 scale handgun. We have some nice scoping details on it, as I mentioned before. Here's another angle. Next up, we also get a shotgun over here. It's painted mainly in black gunmetal. We also have brown over here for the holding point stock here. What's unique about this 1/12 scale accessory is we can actually move this stock around to imitate the reloading action of the real shotgun. The scope over here also can slide forwards and backwards, so that's a nice touch. Here we have the shotgun fitted on Leon. They look quite nice together. It does really remind me of the scenes from the Resident Evil games. It looks like he's ready to fight and face some chainsaw zombies. Again, another alternative angle, some reloading action pose. The final weapon accessory that we have from this figure is actually this RPG. It's quite nice of them to include a weapon like this. The RPG itself does have some gimmick as well, as the front we can take it out and slide it in just like a real RPG, reloading it. And the scope, after playing around with it, it actually comes off like this, but you can just peg it back in with the pegs aligning two peg holes, so that's fairly easy. Other than that, it's mostly painted in black. We do have some light brown over here for color separation, darker brown for the stocks, and army green for the RPG front point. Now we have Leon holding the RPG weapon accessory. Another view. Yeah, so this is a really nice accessory that Leon have over here. It looks quite menacing. We can have a lot of creative poses with this RPG, trying to reenact Leon as he finishes the boss fight with this powerful weapon. Next segment, let's go over the articulation of this 1/12 scale Pocket World Leon. So it should be similar to a mezco in my opinion with all the cloth goods, but let's see. Forwards movement, backwards movement for the neck. We have a side to side tilt, 360 rotation for the head. So the ball joint over here is a single ball joint, it seems like. For the neck, it's not a double ball joint. As for the arms, we can go all the way up here until we start feeling some stress from the pleather jacket. Similarly, we can rotate the arms forward, backwards to a certain degree until the leather jacket starts bending. So you gotta work with it a little bit. For the elbow joints, we do have a nice bend. And the wrist joints, we have a 360 rotation, also a side to side wiggle. As for the waist, we do have an ab crunch, a little bit forwards, backwards, a little bit side to side, but it's barely noticeable. Also, we do have a twist from the ab crunch itself. The bottom, we actually do have another rotation at the waist, and we can bend forwards, bend backwards. So it's pretty decent considering Leon over here is wearing fully clothed goods. For the legs, they can go all the way up. Backwards is a little bit hindered due to the design of the articulation rather than the cloth pants. Side, we can raise about this high. The knees, we do have a nice bend over here. Finally, for the feet, we have a forward backwards wiggle, ankle joint, a little bit of side to side, and of course a rotation. So considering that he's wearing soft good pants, the leg articulation is actually not too bad. Now time for some size comparisons. Here we have a Mezco 1/12 scaled Punisher. So these two look like they scale quite nice next to each other. Next up we have a Mafex Hush Batman. We have a SH Figure Arts Mystic Gohan. Here's a Figma Arthur prototype. Alright, time for final thoughts on today's figure, which is the 1/12 scale Pocket World Leon from the Resident Evil series. Overall, I really enjoyed this figure. I feel like it filled a nice void in terms of having a quality version of Leon from the Resident Evil series in a 1/12 scale format. The major positives for this figure, in my opinion, is the cloth goods used for the clothing, especially for the upper body. I was fairly surprised when they did a triple layering for the clothing. We have the pleather jacket, the blue dress shirt, as well as the red vest inside. Other than that, the head sculpt is also nicely done and it resembles Leon very nicely in a 1/12 scale. In terms of the negatives for this figure, I would have to say for the head sculpt, the hair does look a bit plasticky and one piece, but it's understandable as they can't be too detailed in terms of this scale. In addition, in terms of the wrist joints, they're quite tight, so when switching on and off the extra hand accessories, you gotta be careful and put some time into it. Other than that, the last thing that I wish that Pocket World did better for this Leon figure is at least include an alternative head sculpt or face sculpt. This way we can have Leon change his expressions, as the only expression possible right now is the one that we see with the figure. Anyways, there goes the end of today's review. I hope all of you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. I would really appreciate that. As always, my friends, until the next review, remember to stay young at heart, and we're out. You made a monster.